Hello, one and all, and welcome to the podcast we call the Fantastival with myself, Steve Nussbaum, in the podcast where I invite my guests to come on and talk to me all about their musical taste, their memories, their experiences, and they get to collate their fancy festival, which I have christened a Fantastival. Hope everyone is well as you're listening, and what an amazing start to 2024 it's been for the podcast. So far, we've had Rick from Ash on, he was on in 151. We've had Peter on from The Farm in 152, an amazing first two episodes of the year. So thank you to everyone who's been listening, tweeting, messaging about those episodes. Very kind of you. And when I started the podcast, I had a wish list of names that I wrote down, like a top 5 who I'd want on the podcast. And from a pipe dream, this episode has now become a reality. It's time to introduce the guest on the 153rd episode. I'm delighted, astounded, overwhelmed to introduce singer-songwriter, frontman of Cast, bassist for the Lars. Ladies and gentlemen, it can only be the one and only. It's Mr. John Power.
Well, hello. What an introduction. Thank you very much.
John, I'm delighted to have you on the Fantastival Podcast. Before we talk about music, I could talk to you for hours but I'm aware we haven't got hours. We've only got a little while to talk about music. But always like to check in with my guests, mate, make sure everyone's well from a mental health perspective. So, John, how are you, mate?
Well, I'm hanging in there, brother, as they say. No, I'm doing all right. I've got, there's a lot of positives going on. I'm in a place where, it's taken half a century to get to. The things that, it's a journey, isn't it? And we're just passing through. So, without getting too deep, too soon, I'm doing as well as expected, doing okay, feeling positive, got a lot of good stuff to talk to you about music-wise, and also being slightly seen through the whole circus and drama of life a bit more. So that gives me a bit more extra sort of energy to see the journey through, because you can get caught up and tied in knots. If you listen to the news, if you get caught up, if it's not one drama, it's another drama. So you turn away from the real drama and you watch the drama on TV, to relax from the drama. The whole thing's a fucking circus. The whole thing is just about keeping you, sort of fearful of who you are, and if there's not one, catastrophe happening, then there's surely one coming around the corner. So I've learned recently to just remove myself as much as possible from what the so-called, daily reality is, because, the real reality is not that, So, yeah, that's where I'm at. That is where I'm aiming to stay, and that is where I'm aiming to discover and nurture as I carry on through this journey, this short flash of life manifesting in the here and now,
Well, you seem to be in a really good place. It must be a really exciting time to be in Cast that we'll come on to shortly. But first of all, love to get a delve into kind of your early musical memories, John. So what do you remember about music from your childhood?
Well, it was brought to me via Top of the Pops, which was massive in our house, So, the early 70s, I guess I would have been aware of, my father was into Eddie Cochran, Johnny Cash. He was a rock and roller. He used to get up and sing in the boozers and stuff like that. I had two older brothers who were kind of like squares, but they were into the Stones and that. And I remember that sort of music. I remember Ike and Tina Turner. I remember the radios and as I said, Top of the Pops right through the 70s. My first, I suppose, Bowie, Ground Control to Major Tom. The Beatles were still getting played on the radio. And that just went right through, really. Music was something that was in the house getting played, but there wasn't no musicians. So my mum could play the piano, she never did. So I always thought music was kind of this exotic thing, played by other people. And the musical journey just continued, really, with records I could find, and then you hit secondary school, and it was the specials, I suppose, came in when I was about 11. It was like a massive thing for me. Two-tone, stuff like that, getting my head shaved, And then it continued, really, just discovering on a discovery, on a journey of discovery, which I'm still doing, I guess. But I think I've kind of earned the right to slightly take my finger off the pulse these days. And just, I end up just listening. classic stuff, really, because that's where it's at, I guess, I've been young. haven't I? And I've been, you know, I suppose in the Lars and early cast. We were cutting edge. You know, we were young and we were doing it. Now it's a different story. Like, although nothing really changes, but it does, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the Lars. I've got to ask you about the Lars. So how did you get into Lars? How did that come about?
You know, I was going to the job centre, and I've been playing the bass. You know, I had a bass and a book, so I was like messing around with the bass. I had a couple of bass lines, which I've said before. I've ever started talking about it. You know, I had like a doom 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 bum bum, and I've said this at a show or two, and you can play quite a few songs on that, from Wild Thing to go go down down to Louie, shake it up, baby,
Yeah.
you know, la la bamba. So you know, I had, as I've said, recently said lately that you know, I had a bit of a repertoire. I went to the job centre. I just asked them if there was anything. I knew I wanted to do something within the arts or something, you know. I'd had a job in an office once. It was the only job I ever had. And it was, you know, I was kind of forced into it, really. It was just a temporary job as a clerical assistant. And, you know, I was sitting with all these old ladies, having a chat, you know, getting on with them. And I just thought, man, if I don't get out of here, you know, this will be the future. I can see the future. My dad worked in Fords. And, you know, I remember when I was a layabout doing nothing, you know, sitting on the corner of the street, smoking weed, you know, just left school. And I said, Dad, you know, get us a job, you know, just, cause I heard there was some jobs. I just wanted a bit of cash, really. And he came back and went, oh, there is none. It turned out later, though, my mum told me that he was like, there's no fucking way, man, that my lad's going to work shift work in Fords, in Hale Wood, in Liverpool. So I thank him for that. Anyway, I asked about anything to do with theatre or something, you know, could I do it, you know, back of the, you know, setting up the sets or anything, you know. I was asking this, the job. And I walked in and she called me over, she said, I've got something for you. There's this, like, community thing. It's to do with music. Diddler there. You get paid 50 quid a week, which was kind of, you know, double your dough. And you serve the community, you go out, and if an old lady, if the old person's home or school wants some musicians, you'll go out and play to them. Anyway, I got on this scheme, I went to the interview, and there was a guy, I forgot his name, but he was a real pompous sod, you know, a real, you know, would have been a Tory, I guess. And there was another guy called Terry, who was cool as, pair of shades, looked a bit like Eric Clapton, lead guitarist. And between the two of them, one didn't want to let me on the scheme, but Terry got my enthusiasm and got my spirit, even though I couldn't really play, you know what I mean? Because there was a lot of people who could play well. And so I got on the scheme, which was amazing. But the most important thing about it was that I met Mike Badger. I met Mike, was naturally attracted to him. I think I was 18, yeah, and, you know, Mike was probably about 23, or maybe I was 19. And he was saying, either way, at that age, he was a little, you know, a bit older, been around, a bit of a beatnik, greased back hair, nice shades, suede jacket. And we just kind of got on very, very, very quickly. And we were put into different bands, and I was in his band, and we were kind of talking about music. We used to go and have our lunch together and stuff. And then one day, you know, about a month into it, he just said, we've got a band called, you know, and we need a bass player, do you want to join? And it was the Lars. And I was like, of course, you know, of course I will. And I think he'd said to Lee, there's this lad, there's something about him, he's got a great spirit, you know, can only play like bloody Wild Thing or something. But he's got something, you know, and Lee was like, that sounds perfect, because I can, you know, I didn't come into the equation with my only style was my bounce and my, you know, sort of thing. So it suited Lee great, like, because I didn't come in going, you know, which would have done his fucking head in anyway. So, yeah, that's how I kind of got into the Lars. That was the question, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I met Mike, I met Lee. Lee played Son of a Gun. You know, I remember the first day he walked in, you know, went to Mike's flat. Lee came in about 2 hours late, sunny afternoon, and sat down. and played Son of a Gun. And I was at that age then where I was hanging out with a lot of people my own age. We were discovering a lot of so-called guitar-based music from the past. We were getting high. We were staying up all night. And he played this song, and it was just like, this is as good as the stuff I'm listening to. I just knew instantly that this was. If I wasn't in this band, then I was going to follow them. I just knew it was something. And it was the first bass line. Straight away, it was the feel, the bounce, I never knew 1, 2, 3, 4 or anything like that, but I knew where it fell. And that was it, really. That was the beginning of the musical journey,
And I guess in terms of the lot, I mean, those songs still hold up, right? And when you're doing solo shows, you still play some of those songs live?
When I just started doing that, that's a very new thing, really. I kind of steered away from it because they're so close to me. And having Lee play them for so long, I just didn't want to do them an injustice, really. I didn't, but now I feel, it's so much part of the story that I'm telling. It's so integral to my journey. And like in a Shakespearean thing, it's not John Power in the Lars, John Power in Cast. It's John Power and the story. They're very much family, both of those bands, and it's like very. So I can't really talk to you about Cast without talking about the Lars. They're both, Cast is the last word. The change is Cast. That's where the name came from. I stepped out of the Lars into Cast for a reason. I had songs, but there would be no Cast without the Lars, and so in my story, they're very, they're the one thing. So yeah, go on.
Yeah, so the John Power story continues into Cast.
Oh yeah, I was saying I have played them recently. I have started playing them songs live. Son of a Gun. It was because it was the most important song and the most autobiographical for Lee, I'd say. Also, I just love it, and also it's just very important in my journey because, as I just explained, it was the first song, and I feel I can do it justice. It's more of it's not trying to parody or be anything. It's just trying to, and it's like a homage to that time. I play those songs as a homage to them times and a homage to this time, to the present moment. Because
yeah, you mentioned Cast was the last word in the Lars album. That leads you to Cast. So you had all these songs. Was it always the plan, I guess, to go and be a frontman and take these songs out?
No, I had no intention to be a frontman. I was very happy as a bass man. In fact, I was just getting to become, a unique bass player because, as I said, I wasn't schooled in. I had my own style coupled with the Lars. I learned to play Lars music, so I was just getting to a point where I had my this little star was coming. It was like incorporated by a bit of Entwistle, a bit of a Hendrix school satchel over my shoulder feel, and things were going. It's just I had those songs, and it was Lee, who was, I guess deep down I wanted to write songs, but he encouraged me at that time before things started going, before the road started forking. We came to a fork in the road. He was like, he bought into the idea of singer-songwriters and all that, two of us, harmonies and all that. But I had all right. The Lars was singing all right and following me down in the set. I had Sandstorm, probably Four Walls. They might have been fully completed. I probably had I had a handful of good songs, and I knew they were going to be something. But at the time, they were never. I wasn't thinking about leaving and started being a singer, but as it became more heavy, the vibe just for everyone, and as it, it starts to take its toll on us all, in our personalities, and just the dream started getting, like a bit of a dark cloud and all that, and so I just realised we were playing, the changes Cast, every night. The changes, and that'll be reverberating out. And I'm the type of person who's always gone on instinct, and always, when other people have advised against it, I've always just followed my, the calling. I took that as a sign. I took that I thought, well, if I ever have a band, it'll be called Cast, The changes cast. I like the word for some reason. Kept hearing it, and then slowly it became more and more that idea started calling a lot louder, till it got to the point where we'd done an American tour. We were meant to do, everything was just becoming so difficult. Simple things were becoming very, very hard to come. And when you've gone over something so many times, I'm not talking about the songs. I could play the songs endlessly, and I did, and I never felt any problem with that. It's just the process. It just come to a point where, I thought, I'm not going back and playing it. I need to play some new stuff. I need to follow my own calling now. As the brother said, like you can't look for external forces to give you what you need. You can't expect. I can't expect other people to give me my journey. I have to take the control of the ship. Yeah, and that's what happened. Although now, I mean, the Lars are massive in my heart.
Yeah, I mean that first album, All Right, Fine Time, Sandstorm, Walk Away.
It's the only album. Sorry.
Yeah.
All Change or the Lars?
No, All Change.
Oh, All Change. All Change was a killer record straight away. I mean, I knew that.
Did you really know that, John? Did you, when you were making that, did you think this is gonna?
I think it should have been bigger than what it was. In fact, the band made some mistakes. The management were young. I was a bit. I did a few things. There was a few corners, turning points, things really with hindsight. But hindsight's easy when you're looking back. If we'd have done one or two things differently or whatever. I mean, it's a massive record. It's a classic record. It's been proven. I knew the songs. I mean, you only got to look at I look at it the other day, and it's a killer record. And I knew that. I mean, I just knew Cast were going to be I knew Cast were going to be what they were. And as I said, I think really we're a better band. I'd say live now. I mean, I don't know. I keep thinking we're at now peak. I still think that there's something big ahead of us, but maybe that's just the way it is with Dreamers.
No, I'm sure there is. Obviously, All Change was massive. Mother Nature Calls was fantastic. Free Me, Live the Dream, I'm So Lonely. I mean, Guiding Star was one for me that, as a Cast fan, I was like, this is just perfect Cast. But that one seemed to be everywhere when that one came out. I remember that one being massive.
We had a lot of I mean, Guiding Star, we play it a lot faster now. It's, the original version, because I was caught up in the slightly Marley-esque jig. The original version is we play it like probably a lot more intense now. It goes down storm. It's a great song. Look, there's loads of stuff. I mean, when I'm singing them songs, I'm right in the moment. I never feel I'm doing something from yesterday. They feel it's always in the present. But I'll be honest with you. After that, I suppose I don't know. I kind of. I mean, I haven't been excited. Like I haven't felt the way I felt for a long time. We've got this new album, Love Is the Call, and this feels like something again. This feels like something again. I mean, there's a lot of my career that it's just like I was tired, I was paranoid. It was some of it I don't look back on too fondly. Really, I'm glad it's all been and gone. Because there's always today. I mean, yeah. I don't know. What was the question?
You mentioned, let's go to Love Is the Calling. New album coming out Friday, 16th of February. So far, Cast about 3 singles from that. Love Is the Call, Love You Like I Do, and Far Away. All are amazing, John. I think you can hear the energy and excitement in the band when those songs are being played. So I guess, tell us about the album, because it's the first Cast album since about 2017. So a lot's happened since then.
Yeah, it is. It's the album I'm most happiest with. We did Troubled Times. Troubled Times got some great songs on. Kind of, I don't know, Kicking Up the Dust was more just like a bunch of things to see if we can kind of make a record together again. A lot of it was ad hoc, but it had no real continuity. But the whole idea about this album was, after Kicking Up the Dust, I just decided with Alan McGee just said to me, he kind of encouraged me to just go away and write something great. And I knew I had to come back with something that was genuinely exciting and something I could genuinely get excited about. Not just the fact, look, if I was releasing, the band would be releasing a record now, I'd still say to you, oh, it's really good, you know, it's got da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But I know the difference between a great record. You just know when you've got something in the bag. You get a detachment about it. You don't feel, although I'm talking about it now to you in an interview, you don't feel, I'm not looking for any lucky breaks. I'm not looking to convince anyone how good it is. I know it's a good record, and it's captured all the essence of what I was envisaging and imagining. It's got the energy of a debut record. It's got the bounce of me as a bass. You know, it's got that rock and roll-y, punky, bouncing bass. The rhythms on the acoustic are jumping. The songs are, you know, like psychedelic pop, ethereal, you know, and I kind of, people have asked me about it, so I've tried to find where that came from, and it was like that. I had to remind myself that I was the bass player of the Lars, you know, and that the Lars weren't a taboo subject in my life, in Cast. You know, I think when Cast first started, you picked up with the lads and that, you know, Skirn, Keith and Pete and that, and, you know, I didn't really want to go on about it to them. Plus, I needed to prove to myself that the songs I had on All Change that were what I thought they were. But now I kind of thought, well, you know, I've kind of said there's this space between All Change and the end of the Lars when I left. You know, there's this kind of little space that I never really explored as a writer. And I think this is the record that explores that space. This is the record that Cast needed to make and Cast hadn't made. So in many, many ways, all the dynamics, you know, I think this is the best performances by Skin and by Keith. And I think, you know, luckily we had a producer like you who bought into the idea of me and him. I could chat with him, talk about arrangements, and we could work all that out. And then when we went into the studio, you know, to record them later on that day, each day, he knew what we needed. Plus, he's you know, when he's on he's an amazing creative guy himself. So he kind of knew how to kind of cajole and encourage, shall we say, Keith and Skin, you know, what not to play and what to play, because it's important. You know, I think, you know, especially sometimes coming from the guy who writes the songs and the lead singer, you know, I mean, we're all bored sometimes of me going, oh, try and make it like this, you know. So for someone else to kind of steer the rudder and get us into those primary colour rock and roll positions, you know, it's yeah, it was great. I think the band, I think it's I'm excited. I want people to hear it. It doesn't bother me what they, you know, because I know we've made the best record we could have made at this moment in time. It captured everything that I was imagining. It transcends my two me's and finds the sweet spot between it. It's not a parody of All Change, and it's certainly not a parody of my time in the Lars, but it's got something that I you know, that I'm trying to put into words. You know, that keenness, that energy. Also, I mean, there's a blistering run of songs on it. I mean, it starts off as it does, and it's a bit of grow, and it's a bit more, you know, and then it just takes off, and then it ends with. I mean, it's a really wonderful, complete record. And here I am telling you about it now, telling you all these great things, but really you need to hear it yourself, you know. Psychedelic pop, but it's buzzing. I feel very kind of like, I feel very, whatever the word is, I feel good about it. I don't feel, oh damn, you know, yeah, you know. I think Cast made a great record, you know. A few people think it's the best we've made, which I think is quite a big shout for Alan McGee and for you to say that, because I think Cast, you know, made an amazing couple of records. All Change, you know. I never thought I'd even, to be honest with you, it's very difficult to, you know, when you play a debut album back, you think, Christ, I mean, I'm out of breath listening to it. I don't know where the energy came from, but I think this, you know, it stands up for itself. I think Love Is the Call will be received fondly by Cast fans and by fans of other bands who maybe, you know, through word of mouth will get to know, because I think it's I don't want to say, you know, too much, like, but it's feeling great, like, yeah. Feels good, you know, man, you want to hear it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it. Obviously heard the 3 singles as well as most other people, and they've been fantastic. I think there's a real excitement about the album. And
yeah, I think so. I can feel that.
Yeah.
That's what I genuinely feel like people are interested in it. It's funny, you know, I don't know whether I'm thinking, am I getting this wrong, or am I getting a lot of positive feedback just by what people have heard from the 3 songs? There's continuity in all them songs, that the 3 digital downloads, the singles that you can hear. It gives you an insight of the album. You know what I mean? And I can just feel like, I mean, just rehearsing with the band the other day, I mean, genuinely, the band are in a bit of shock. I'm not. But, when I'm talking about, I've realised that it's difficult for me, you know, sometimes the rest of the band don't quite get what it is I'm talking about. And that's fair, I suppose, you know. And I try not to get too hung up on that. The type of record that we needed to make, we've made. And I think all of a sudden, playing it and all that, the rest of the band are like, you know, I mean, I don't think we've had a rehearsal like this. I can't remember a rehearsal where it just feels like everything is cool and grooving and like happening. And that's a very special feeling in a band. It's special if any band experience it. And it's special if you've experienced it before and you feel it kind of again, and you kind of like, we're on to this is you know, the record we should have made. This is the record we needed to make. Definitely. No doubt about it.
I think you can tell that. I think anyone listening to this can tell that in the way you're coming across and your enthusiasm about it. I think there's a real aura to you, a real positive energy when you're talking, and I've got the benefit of obviously seeing you talk about it, which is amazing. So you mentioned you're in rehearsals, right? So a lot of live activity for Cast planned for 2024.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, you know, this could be the biggest year Cast have had in a long, long time. We've got a new album coming out that is definitely feels like it's something special, right? So that in itself is the magical thing to have. And then obviously we got the tour. We've got our own tour in March.
Yeah, so it starts in Glasgow, right? It starts in Glasgow on Friday the 1st, ends in Liverpool Saturday the 16th. I'll be there in London on the 15th. So
yeah, that's right. Is it the 1st of March in Glasgow? So it starts about that.
Yeah.
So we're playing 6 dates: Manchester, Glasgow, Liverpool, Leeds, London, and Birmingham, I guess, something like that. You know, which is stunning. We're going to be playing a lot of the songs of the album with all the hits. It's going to be a great show. They're going to be great shows because, as I said, rehearsals went so well that it's just like, wow, it's a joy to sing and play them. Also, though, I mean, not looking too far ahead, but you know, opening for the Liam Gallagher tour, which is massive. Like it's massive for us because it's 20,000 people a night. Okay, even if we only play to half, that's 10,000. We'll be playing obviously a lot of songs from All Change, but we will be dropping some of the new stuff in as well. But there's a whole audience there who really may have forgotten that they did Cast. And so that in itself, coupled with the new record, I mean, that's the golden ticket, I think. I reckon every band in the Northern Hemisphere would have wanted to get on that tour. And it's fantastic that we are. It could reconnect us to a massive fan base again, or you know, because all those songs are going to, it's funny, like, you know, definitely maybe songs off All Change, coupled, as I said, with a couple of new stuff and all that. It's going to be great. So that's it's a big year. That's not even mentioning all the summer work festivals. We're probably going to be out in autumn, I guess, October and all that, you know. So it's going to be a big year, and I'm looking forward to it. I must say, I'm genuinely looking forward to it. Really in a good place about it all. Like, I don't know what else to say, really. I promised myself, you know, that this album, see, it liberated me from being hung up on because I'm, you know, hoping people like it. Do people like it? Well, I don't need to be that needy. I really don't, you know. And I think but having a record that you're very proud of, it doesn't matter, does it? It's like, I mean, you know, if somebody doesn't like it, well, then it's not for them. What can I do? It's no use, you know. And I don't really need the attention. You know what I mean? I'm doing it for because I feel the band. I've got room for manoeuvre. I think they're on the cusp of just that meniscus, if that's right, of just being a bit bigger. That they should be, because they're a fantastic band live. We're a fantastic band live. We've got an amazing back catalogue. Anybody who's seen us recently tends to just be like, wow, these are amazing. So I just think that with the new album and the musicianship within the band, I think it's all very, very positive, very positive. And then, we're just all passing through, aren't we? And it's all over, so there's no use getting hung up on too many things,
No, that would be great. That Liam tour is going to be massive, like you said, and there's so many youngsters at Liam gigs these days. There'll be people who might have never even heard a Car song before. So as well as reconnecting with the guys who were there 30 years ago, there's an entire new generation of kids who might not know Walk Away or Riot or Fine Time. And
it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. We'll be doing our thing and playing our part in making this a great show, because definitely Maybe's is an amazing record. So what can I say? We're thrilled, shall I say?
Yeah, as I say, as a big Cast fan, I can't wait to hear it. Really excited for Friday, the 16th of February. So, John, this pod is all about getting you and our guests to collate their fantasy festivals. I know Cast and yourself have played loads of festivals. You a big fan of the festival format? You a big fan of going to festivals?
I was a big fan of festivals. I mean, I love playing them because people don't, it's not like people have bought the ticket for a band and you open it. I mean, with festivals, it's just, you just go out there and you give it all you've got, and you're like, if the sun's shining, people are having a good time. Yeah, I used to go to a lot of festivals. I played a lot of festivals. I mean, obviously now I don't, I like playing them, and most of my summer is playing. There's so many festivals all over the show. But yeah, I used to like going to them, and when I was younger, camping and staying up all night, philosophizing and looking at the stars, and putting the world to rights, and then forgetting who the fuck I was. Getting dry, rolling down the hill back to wherever it was we were staying, So yeah, they were great fun and still are. Great fun to play. I do like to be a part of it, of the festival season, as a performer. As a performer, it's a great thing to do.
Certainly is. So, like I said at the start, John gets to play his Fantastival. So his Fantasy Festival, John gets to choose any 5 acts, one who must play one of their studio albums in full, and an encore, which all 5 acts can perform together to end your fantasy festival.
Well, this was the thing that freaked me out more. I mean, I know there's some people who really get into it, but it's like I freeze when people ask me questions. I mean, I have put a list of things together.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, I was nearly going. I actually I was nearly going to DM you and say, I thought it was just an interview, and I don't know if I'm going to do this, but I have got 5. Well, I've got about 3 different acts for the. I haven't got the format. It's on my phone actually. Let me just, because you did text me, didn't you?
Yeah. So it's very simple. So I always like to go through my last lineup. So I had Peter Hooson on from The Farm. He collated his festival last week, his Innocent Bystanders Festival. So in his opening slot, he had the Blue Nile, followed by Talking Heads for his Super Seconds act. Midway Madness, he picked Stevie Wonder. Pre-headline act, he picked David Bowie, and for his headline act, he picked the Beatles as he was holding his fantasy festival in Stanley Park. So he was like, can't do Stanley Park without having the Beatles into Liverpool. So
well, I was thinking of the Beatles and the Stones, and bands that we all love, and we all love them for a reason, and that's because they're absolutely amazing. And I wasn't sure whether that, So okay. So the first band at the festival would be the Specials, right? And that's because I've never gone over holding Too Much Too Young, the single cover, with all them people. I'd love to know who they all are. I don't know if you know the cover. I mean, it's just like it's a shot on the stage, black and white, of all these rude boys and rude girls, skinheads, all scars. And there's a guy up there. I mean, there's a guy, the main, and I think I'm like, is he my brother? Do I know him? I mean, I look, there's girls and there's boys, and the expressions are just captured, and there's something just amazing about it. Well, for me, and I used to listen to that EP, Guns of Navarone, Long Shot, Kick the Bucket and all that, and the specials. And I ran out and got my head shaved because I just wanted to be in that cover. So the festival would open with the specials, you know, and I would get the whole thing moving and grooving, I think, with Jerry's Hammers and everyone, you know, in their peak. And then the second act, I'm going to go for Howlin' Wolf.
Oh, great shout.
Yeah, Howlin' Wolf is just, you know, not only an immense physical entity, his voice, for me, he's probably the best blues singer. Just tonally, I just love him. There's something about him. I've always had a fantasy that he would be like an uncle, you know, and he'd come round at like, you know, for dinner once in a while. You know, he's just got those specs, hasn't he? Those spectacles. But it's his voice and his playing and the whole band behind it. So I would love Howlin' Wolf then to get going.
All right, so we've got Howlin' Wolf in your Super Seconds. We've got the specials.
My third band is the Smiths.
Oh, the Smiths. All right. So why the Smiths for you, John? Why are you picking the Smiths in this one?
I'm going to tell you why the Smiths, because Morrissey and the Smiths in their heyday, I mean, there was something I hadn't really kind of come across, you know. I mean, you've got this big bloke who had an amazing way of expressing his feelings, you know. So I always thought, you know, yin and yang, male and female. There's a lot of things that are wrong with society is that people can't express, you know, their sensitivities. Not only did they have amazing music, like, you know, Johnny Marr and the band, but there's something about Morrissey. And I'm going to stick up for him here because I know I'm not really into this sort of, cancel culture. And I think it was someone I was listening to was saying, you know, that instead of the cancel culture is like, you know, the positive things that people say and do. You shouldn't get rid of them because they're like they're the light of these beings. We've all said and done things, you know, and you know we can all be ourselves, and we can all be cantankerous and you know aggravate people. And I just think that in his heyday, you know, he was kind of very astute, and I think it was great for a male to have that. You know, there was a lot. You know, you see the audience full of like, you know, big kind of sweatback,
yeah,
like, you know, big brutish male men, and they're all like swaying to his gladiolus, you know. And I think, well, anyone who's got that, you know, and I know he said a few things recently, but I just think, you know, I think his songs, and he's also said a lot of great things, hasn't he? You know, heaven knows I'm miserable now. You know, I mean, he got away with words. He's just like really kind of. So, but the band are great, I thought, you know. How soon is now, is it? You know, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know all the titles of things, you know. I'm not one for titles. But that tune, there's loads of great tunes. The Queen is Dead, you know. I would have them on because I think it would be an amazing show.
Certainly would.
Well.
Yeah. All right, so the Smiths Midway Madness. So we've got 2 acts left, John. You've got your pre-headliners and your headline act. So who are you going to have as your pre-headline act at your fantasy festival?
I was going to say Miles Davis playing Kind of Blue, just to kind of, you know, this would be late afternoon, hopefully. I mean, I'm guessing the weather's going to be really cool. It was a close call. Can I say who else I was going to?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, I was thinking maybe like Ian Jordy and the Blockheads, New Boots and Panties as well.
Yeah, great shout.
You know, so I'm not quite sure. I don't know whether Miles Davis is going to be too ethereal, but that's a record that I put on, you know, many times, like when I don't have to sing along, you know, when you don't want to sing along and you just want things to simmer and float on stage. So I'm going to say that you needed to play an album, didn't you?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've got a personal thing for Astral Weeks as well by Van Morrison. So, but I didn't know, I wasn't sure it had to be more edgy than the people I'd picked.
Your fantasy festival, John, anyone you like. These are all like really personal festivals, so you can never.
Well, I mean, if it's personal, then I might go for Van Morrison. Let
me say something about Miles Davis, right? So out of 153 podcasts, only one other person has picked Miles Davis. I don't know if you're going to believe who's picked him. He was picked by Pete Wilkinson.
Oh, was it?
In episode 60.
Oh, well, I'll keep Miles in then for for the ethereal connection. Yeah, kind of blue.
Yeah.
I just thought, after the specials, Howlin' Wolf, Smith, I thought, here's like one of those ones where it's just not another band, is it? It's more a moment captured. And I think I think Howlin' Wolf's going to do this to people as well. But I think, if we had Miles Davis, I think people would be like, they'll have been ready to dance and sing and shout or whatever. They've been doing the two-tone bop. They've been waving their gladiola eyes and daffodils and flowers. They've been stomping to the wolf, and all that. And then all of a sudden, man, we just get this abstract colour soundscape, So, yeah, I'm going to stick with Miles as well. There you go.
All right, we've got Miles Davis. All right, leaves you one act left, John. So it leaves you your headline act for your fantasy festival.
Yeah, well, my headline act, I'm going back to rock and roll, and it's got to be the Who, but in the white boiler suit,
right.
Red SG, Pete Townsend version. It's probably like the kind of 69s or 68s or something like that. I don't know when it was, but I think they played the Isle of Wight and all that. That sort of period where it's dark now. It's a heavy Who. It's a heavy Who, and Townsend, with his piercing blue eyes, and his white boiler suit, and his windmills, and the moon, and them doing their thing. I think that could maybe be the fireworks of the night, just when it's kind of edgy, slightly threatening sort of music. And then that period of the Who is they're heavy. They're like, you can see Led Zepp taking bits out of that. It's a young man, it's heavy blues, heavy guitar, and Townsend meaning it and Daltrey singing it. And the Who were a massive band to cast, massive influence to us all. They were also pop-tastic and had a great way of doing it. But there's something about, on a personal thing, all the reason I picked these is that they're all personal. There was a time when Townsend's sentiment, it meant a hell of a lot to me. I don't quite know what it was, but I had a crush on his music. It was just something about his sentiment that I knew was true. And but the band whacking it out with his red SG in his white boiler suit, that period of the Who, very, very heavy headline act. And I think at the end of that, I think people will be left breathless, and they'll go off and sit in small groups or bit large groups around fires, discussing and just being in awe of the journey, the musical journey that they've just witnessed and been a part of.
Sounds like a hell of a journey, John. Do you want them... I know you just said you don't like it when people ask you for your favourite song because it's impossible to answer, but you do get the option to have The Who, Miles Davis, The Smiths, Howlin' Wolf and The Specials all to come on stage to end your fantasy festival and play one song together.
Or is it one song out of all the acts that they've just played?
Yeah, but it can be any song. So it could be Walk Away by Cast. It could be Tomorrow Never Knows by the Beatles. It could be any song that you would want to hear all of them perform together.
I would, there's I was going to say something like, why don't you say something like Smokestack Lightning and Howlin' Wolves, just to kind of, hopefully they could evoke some, like some sort of spiritual lightning scene as well, maybe with all them, you know what I mean? Yeah, something like that. I was thinking out of that. I mean, we've got the Who, we've got the Smiths, Howlin' Wolves, the Special. No, I think I'll stick with that. The festival name. Yeah, I was looking into Lead Belly in the Pines, but I think there is a festival called that. So I don't know
I reckon we should call it "Love Is the Call," right?
Yeah, "Love Is the Call." There you go.
There you go.
It did cross my mind, but I didn't want to blow my own trumpet.
Mate, I'll blow your trumpet. Keeping it clean, John. I'll blow your trumpet any day.
That's a good name for the festival. Love Is the Call. Can you hear the call?
Yeah, man. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And you can hold it anywhere, John. Anywhere you want to hold it, big, small. Liverpool, anywhere you like. We can go anywhere you want.
Okay. It would have to be a larger space. I was going to say somewhere. I'd like to have it on a date as well, where there's like a harvest moon or a full moon. One of those full moon risings in the summer. So somewhere maybe. Is there a beach? Is there somewhere where we could have? A flat sea, with the moon shining on it, and we could all howl at the moon.
Oh, that'd be a good way, yeah.
With Callin All when we do Smokestack Ride, and we evoke the lightning.
Love it.
Somewhere coastal then, but on a calm sea-like mirror kind of place. I'll leave. Yeah, I mean, I'm just the A&R. I'm just the artist. I'm just coming through with the actual acts. I'll speak to my co-organisers, and we'll nail the actual location. But we're just we have people out looking for this locale.
Very nice.
As we speak. All right.
Very nice.
So we're trying to set the scene as we do it. And don't forget Love Is the Call.
Yeah, right. So we've got Love Is the Call Festival, taking place on a coastal place, flat sea, moon shining. We're all going to howl at the full moon. Opening act, we've got specials, Super Seconds, Howlin' Wolf, Midway Madness, we've got the Smiths. Pre-headline act, we've got Miles Davis playing Kind of Blue and Full. And your headliners, we've got The Who. And for your encore, they're all going to play Smokestack Lightning. John, sounds amazing to me. You happy to lock that one into the Fantastival vaults?
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant stuff.
I'll give you a date when it's happening.
Yeah. So, John, I guess before we finish, you've spoken about the future. Let's round it up again. So we got Love Is the Call, Friday the 16th of February. And as well as the tour, you're doing some record signings on that week of release, right?
God, yeah.
Anyone who wants to get their record signed, meet you guys, they can do it all over the country.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, where are we? We're in Glasgow, Edinburgh. I think we're also we've got like in stores. I mean, if you look on our the cast kind of Instagram and the cast Facebooks and all that, and the cast social medias. I should know them all. I should have them written down on a card. But you'll see. But we're also going to be going to some HMVs as well. We'll be doing a lot of travelling on the days. 2 venues, 4 shows. I memean, meet and greets, a couple of songs acoustically off the album, maybe 1 or 2 classics. We'll sign your records. You've got to pre-order the records to get in to watch us. It's there's a lot that's on about starting on about the week.
Yeah, that starts in the week. Yes, that starts on the Friday the 16th. Yeah,
the whole week. It's like a week. Where's my secretary?
So you got that.
She's got all the dates, man.
Mate, I think that's going to be such a phenomenal time for you. I think we saw Shed 7 do something similar. They've got a #1 album go across the country at HMVs and loads of other record stores and meet their fans. Some real special moments. Yeah, I mean, Shed 7 have done it actually absolutely amazing. I mean, I have to keep coming back to that. I'm happy. I'm very happy to admit for the record we've made, and I have to put my dreams onto that. If we can get if we can get charted and do something special with the record, then that'll be a bonus to me. It's definitely, I think, it merits what's going to happen to it. As I said, it's a phenomenal record, and that's me saying that. You're just going to have to take my word for it and listen yourself. But I really feel we've nailed it. We've gone full circle. I've completed the circle. That's what I want to do with this album. Really great. Can't wait to hear it. So, like we said, record signings, tour, supporting Liam, festival dates. So lots to go on. So I know you mentioned your socials, but Cast can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, website. Cast Band Official, Instagram. I should know them all. I should get them all. Maybe you can check them out and slot them in for me. Yeah, I'll do that. I think Twitter's Cast Official. I think most of them are Cast Official, to be fair. Yeah, something like that. Cast Band, Cast Official. His Instagram, his Facebooks, there's all that, And I do kind of, and I've got mine, which is John Powell on Twitter, and John Powell Music, which I kind of now, I'm active, would you believe it? Just like I'm talking to you, I'm actually kind of looking at my socials, and I kind of do a few replies, a few posts and things like that. But if you want to know what's going on, you check all that stuff out, and it's all there about, But it's the music that it's all about. More importantly than anything, is that we've made a record that we're feeling, excited. It's refreshing, it's exciting, and I can't wait for it to come out. Then you can all hear it. And then I don't have to try and come out with go on podcasts anymore. Yeah. Wonderful describe. No, I don't mind the podcast. I mean, this is something that I should be doing. I should be, talking to people like yourself, and
having these sorts of conversations. It's the way it is. So I've enjoyed myself. It hasn't been too daunting. I'm even looking forward to the festival.
I'll see you there backstage. We'll have a nice little.
Yeah, you can have AAA.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, mate. So that is it, everyone. Thanks for listening to the 153rd episode of the Fantastival Podcast. If you've enjoyed this one, please subscribe. You can give the podcast a review on iTunes, or if you're listening on Spotify, you can rate the show, and you can also comment on the episode as well. So we'd love to hear your feedback, and we'd love for you to do that for us. We are also on Twitter as our cast, so if you don't follow us, make sure to do so at Fantastival P. And we are also now on TikTok. So I have found the delights of plugging the podcast on TikTok, which is getting a few views. So I'll keep up on TikTok. And if you're not on TikTok or on Twitter, you give us an email at fantastivalpodcast@outlook.com. Unfortunately, we don't play music on the pod, but I'll put some links in for our social media on your episode description. And we'll make a nice little Spotify playlist of John's acts, and those will be in the episode description as well. So John, personally, the dream of mine was to have you on this podcast. So there's a big tick on my wish list. So a massive thank you, not only for coming on the podcast, John, but honestly for doing everything you've done, mate, because I was a 14-year-old boy. I had the cast poster on my bedroom wall, man, when you used to get posted letters before the internet. So all I can say to you, mate, is thank you so much for coming on, and you mean an awful lot to me. And
that's very kind of you. And things like that is what it was all about, and that's the truth. Before we artists or whatever get lost in our own fucking ego or our own, whatever circles that repeat and go round in upon itself. That's what it was all about, connecting. Because I felt like that about music. I feel like that about artists and music. I know how you feel, and I feel the same. So thanks, thanks so much for digging and giving life to the music that I've written and been involved in. And it's, it's the little things like that which make it all worthwhile. So, yeah, I will continue.
Mate, absolutely. And also solo stuff. You've got a great solo collection as well. So if anyone loves cast and hasn't gone into your solo collection, well worth delving into that as well. So, yeah, best of luck for the year, John. I look forward to seeing how the album performs. So I'll be back next week with episode number 154. So please make sure to join me for that one. But until then, stay safe, my Fantastival friends. Please continue to spread the word. And that word is Fantastival. Thanks for listening.